Good morning, everyone. You join me on the motorway, first day of teaching at the University of Bristol on our veterinary science course. Now, today we only have 3 hours of lectures. They're all intro stuff, so introducing us to exams, introducing us to professionalism, introducing us to year one, all these more intro stuff, just the start of teaching, starter sessions, just going through a lot of the basics. A lot of the next few weeks are going to be a lot of intro stuff, introduction to anatomy, introduction to the marking system, introduction to exams, introduction to the NAVLI, all these basic blocks. The professionalism, we have an hour session on professionalism, which I'm quite intrigued about, because it's a very important part to a degree, or well, I should say a career, working in the medical profession, because of course you have to deal with people. You know, although you have to deal with animals, for the most part you learn about the animals and how to fix them and so forth. You're not exactly talking to the animals, are you? You are talking to the people, and therefore you have to learn how to professionally talk to people. You have to make sure that you talk to them with a maturity and a formalness, and with a relatively neutral tone for the most part. Obviously relatively friendly, you're not an asshole to them, but of course you need to make sure that, you know, you're not too happy-dappy and then they're coming in saying, oh, your dog's got cancer. You know, that's not really the sort of vibe you should be running off of. But again, that formalness, I think, is going to be a big thing, because obviously a lot of these younger students, the 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, they're of course they wouldn't have had a job before, so they wouldn't have perhaps had to deal and work in a professional manner. For the most part, they would have stayed they may still be in their college minds and not have worked on how to deal with people. Obviously, having some background in retail and working in to professional standards at least, I should have some inkling of this, but I'm curious to see how maybe others would do that, and how that's going to be taught, essentially, because how do you teach professionalism? Because it's one thing to say, oh, be mature, be formal, dress appropriately, speak with the mind and knowing that you're representing a working body and you're talking on behalf of someone, you're speaking on behalf of the veterinary profession. If you're giving stupid advice, if your attitude is just it's just awful, then it doesn't represent the industry very well. So I'm going to be curious to see how that's actually taught in professionalism, because that's essentially one of the segments of this first year is professionalism. That's one part to it, besides obviously the anatomies and animal health and stuff. That's just one part. So I'm curious to see what that actually involves in terms of the teaching side of things, because I feel like it sounds like it would be relatively basic, but if there's actually some teaching and like some scenarios that they'll put you in, and like you'll have to like do some mock chit chats with people, like a customer and like you're the vet or something like that. I don't know if that's how that's going to go, but we will see. But again, 3 hours of lectures, an introduction to year one, an introduction to like exams and stuff, this Inspire thing, which I think is a teaching term, I believe, like revising and learning thing. But again, we'll see, and we'll go from there. The plan is obviously we'll do that, and then we'll finish the day off, and I'll try and round off what it is that's happened for the day, try and round off on some of the key points, if there were any, round off on any events that happened, any problems or exciting things that happen. Again, mostly this week is a lot of like the introductory sessions, introduction to anatomy, introduction to health and so forth, but as we get into a lot more of the theory, a lot more of the grit of the course, I should be able to impart and use that as use what I learned as a means to revise not only to myself but to you as well. impart on what I learn and go through a process of learning, because obviously I'll go through something like amino acids or something, and I'll have an understanding of that, but like perhaps as that progresses, more could be shed upon that, as like we delve into that a bit more in terms of a lot of the chemicals and chemistry and endocrine and all that stuff, see all that translates. So that I'm very, very interested to see. But again, these few weeks are going to be very, very introductory stuff. We're going to be figuring out our timetable, we're going to be figuring out our like teaching techniques, how we're going to be learning, the revision and learning tools before us, learning a lot of the basics, and how we're going to be approaching this first year, because I've not wanted to join any societies or clubs yet, because I want to make sure I nail the teaching. I want to make sure I nail this first year as best I can. The last thing I want to be doing is trying to allocate my time to lots of different areas in which I'm getting subpar results, or I try and dedicate myself fully to the teaching and a lot of the intro stuff and the basics, learning the lay of the land, learning where like all the libraries and where I can find all the information, developing a social life of sorts, creating contacts and connections, networking a bit. And it also frees me up time to do other things that I may not have even thought of to do, because not a lot of the societies and clubs I saw weren't particularly intriguing. Not to say that I wouldn't have enjoyed them, because obviously you never knock it till you try it, but I want to try. That's something I want to perhaps look into the future for second year, is maybe joining a society or a club or something of the sort, just when I perhaps got a good grasp of like how I'm going to be revising, how I'm going to be taking notes and compiling all my learning material. I want to make sure I nail that and get a good system going, basically knock out the basics, because I have an idea in my head how I want to be revising and teaching myself and such, like with the laptop and with taking notes and so forth. But we shall see. We shall see what happens, and we will update you later on as to how today's gone, and obviously we'll take you through the full week. So that's first day done. Not much happening. As I mentioned, it was mostly intro stuff. Going a lot of the basics of the very, very, very basics of EMS, your extramural studies, the study skills that you'll be adopting over the course of the next few weeks and months. There was a thing about Inspire, which is like a research body that you can be a part of, but is a bit more to it, but nothing like immediately fascinating or interesting. But yes, so that's all done for the day. They told us that studies would be, so they said that you were to commit yourself 40 hours a week, that you need to treat this course like a full-time job, essentially 40 hours a week, and that was including independent study, so you're revising, your note-taking after class and stuff, all the research you would do, writing up your coursework. It should take about 40 hours a week, because lectures and the lessons and the online sessions, it's not, say, like 9 to 5. It's not 9 to 5 of lectures and so forth. It's usually, well, for this week even, it's typically a few hours a week. And next week, for instance, Wednesday, there was no teaching, for instance. Monday and Friday, I believe, were full days. pretty much, and then Tuesday and Thursday are half days, but like Wednesday there's no time at all. But I suspect there's going to be some tasks, online stuff perhaps, that we maybe have been set and can make a start on. So that will be interesting. I believe tomorrow we have some actual like animal stuff. So I think we're getting like an introduction to biology and anatomy, I believe. I think some more intro stuff, some starter stuff. And I believe there's some actual like, relevant health and animal and medicine, biology, chemistry related stuff tomorrow, as opposed to just this is what the university offers and so forth, and this is what it's all going to be about. We've sort of gone through that. I sort of knew most of the stuff we learned today prior to that, because like they send it to you in emails. They send you a lot of emails, the college. They send you a lot of emails, and I've actually perused through them. I've perused through the course material, the course structure, what's expected of you, what you'll be learning, what studies will be like, yada yada yada. I've more or less familiarised myself with this, but they're essentially gone over it again for those who didn't have the initiative to look at this prior, just so obviously that we're all in the same boat. But one of the emphasis and key points I think to take from today was essentially the study skills bit, and that's the thing I want to primarily focus on, which is to nail learning how to learn, essentially learning how to do the revision, learning how to properly reference and cite my work, learning how to revise for exams, but effectively and efficiently as well, because it's one thing I could do this stuff, but I want to adapt a way and method by which to do it well, so it adheres to the 40-hour mark. Because the point they mentioned was you got these people who are very perfectionist and put in tons and tons of work, and they're actually like studying for 50 hours or more a week, and it's like, this is to the point of excess. Not that it's a problem. If you want to do 50 hours a week, you can do 50 hours a week, but at the same time, you do want to live your life a little, and you may have commitments and things. Like I have commitments of my own that I want to do, and there may be other things that I want to partake in and involve myself with. Social stuff, clubs, things with family, things like that. So you need to make sure you allocate your time for that, because obviously, you want to make sure that you are passionate. I want to make sure that I'm passionate about this course, but at the same time that I'm not burning myself out. So I need to develop a stratagem by which to ensure that my revision and approach to my studies are effective and efficient. That I essentially adhere to that 40-hour mark, but the 40 hours I put in are of a good quality. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to, like, say, put 40 hours in, but it's like, oh, actually we're blundering in some areas, so our revision and note-taking isn't actually that good, and we're not actually getting a lot out of it, and we're sort of falling to below what we would like to be achieving. Because, we're not going to be getting perfect scores in our markings and assessments. It's quite hard to do that, to get like fully 100% completion and hitting every single piece of criteria that they want you to achieve. That's incredibly rare, and if anything, that's they don't expect that of anyone. Something quite interesting that one of the lecturers said, it's like you're here to pass and that's it, which the pass mark is 50%, and that shook me. That was a bit surprising, really. I understand that it's weird because it's a pass mark, right? So this is the minimum that you need to learn, 50%. But it's like 50%, really? This is we're dealing with life and death. We're dealing with things like diseases and public health, and giving lots of health-related advice that is crucial and can change a lot of things and stuff. So it's very complex. So 50%. I thought it'd be a little bit higher than that. I thought it'd be 70%. So that was a bit surprising, really, because I believe the broad topics we're studying this year are going to be health, husbandry, and handling. I think those very basics, and like anatomy, I suppose, as well. So it's like a nice, good foundation to animals, basically. Like what is an animal, and the building blocks of an animal, and the basics of care and husbandry and general handling stuff that you'd be doing. So again, a lot more of this basic stuff, but it's a nice foundation because obviously, as we all know, everyone's bringing different skills. So some people will have worked with horses, some people will have worked on farms, people have already worked done some nursing apprenticeships and stuff as a veterinary nurse and so forth. So again, a lot of people are going to be bringing different skills to the table, and yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see how this goes, because there's this course-based learning that is a part of the course, and that's going to involve small groups. I believe the group size is around, I can't remember the group sizes. I want to say it's 16, but that seems a bit excessive. But at the same time, because there's about 200 of us. At least there's a bit more than 200 of us on this course. So to split us up into 16 makes sort of sense, but at the same time 16 seems a bit high to try and sort of get 16 people involved in one task. So I don't know, maybe it's just 4, maybe it's a bit more, maybe it's a bit less, I don't know. But that'll be interesting to see how these course-based learning activities are going to be handled, because I think there was one of the case studies mentioned was the smelly rabbit, and I think like the lamb with a such and such leg, like a disabled leg of sorts. I can't remember the exact sort of title of it, but that was more or less some things like that. So I don't know how those are going to go and how they will pan out, but we will see as the weeks go on. But again, like these first few weeks here, again, going to be lots of intro stuff, lots of basics. So we will see what happens, and we will update you on those tomorrow morning.